Hey y'all, so today we are talking about how I schedule our homeschool calendar. How I decide what day we're going to start school, when we're going to have field trips, what we're going to take off as holidays, and when we're going to end the year. This is super simple, and maybe you're watching this because you have no idea where to start. It is very easy, let me tell you that, to begin with. I'm going to give you just how I do this, and again, it is very simple. Maybe you're watching this because you already know what days you're starting, you already have a plan of how you do this, and you just want some reassurance, because sometimes when something is so easy, it's like, maybe I missed something, maybe I did something wrong. So if you want to see a comparison of how another homeschool family plans their year out, then keep watching and let me know with a thumbs up or a comment down below if this is similar to how you plan your school year. If you're new to my channel, hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Brooke. We are a homeschool family with 3 kids. We are currently homeschooling 2 of those kids because my youngest is only 8 months old. But we'll eventually get there with him. So right now I have an 8th grader. 8th grader? Yes, I have an 8th grader and a 3rd grader. And this is technically our, you could say, 5th year homeschooling, 3rd consecutive year since we came back from traditional school during the 2020 crisis and we started homeschooling then. So now we're on our 3rd year. We did, was that right? 2020, 21, 22, 2021? 21, 20, yeah. Going on our 3rd year since then of homeschooling. Most of my videos have been about homeschooling, but I am a new channel if you have not noticed. So I'm still getting a feel of what all things I'm going to be doing videos about. So you'll see some things that are not on the homeschool subject, and then a lot of things that are about homeschool, because that is what we are focusing on right now. We've already started back school. We started in the middle of July actually. But most schools around the area are starting back now this week or next week when I release this video, or when this video gets posted. Most schools around my area have started back. So I just wanted to throw this out there and maybe see if this might help someone as they're trying to plan their homeschool year. Hey y'all, interrupting to let you know while I was editing this video that I realized I said an upcoming website incorrectly. So I'm going to be telling you to go to hslds.org. That is wrong. It is HSLDA. I apologize. I'm going to say it several times. The correct website is hslda.org, and I apologize for that. So ignore me saying it wrong in the next few minutes and go to hslda.org. Thanks. The first thing that I'm going to tell you to do is to check your state's laws about homeschooling, the requirements that you have to follow for your homeschool in your state. I am in North Carolina, so I'm going to be telling you how I do this according to the laws and regulations for North Carolina, but I recommend going to hslds.org, hslds.org, and I'll put a link in the description for that website. Go there. They have a link to every state in the United States that it'll send you to your states. It'll give you a list of the requirements for your state and give you links, if possible, to like your state's department that your school is under. For North Carolina, we fall under, the Department of Non-Public Education, but every state is different and it falls under different jurisdictions or whatever. So just check with your state first. Don't go by what I'm saying that I am doing, because every state is different. I have looked at a couple of different states, and some of them seem pretty, I don't know, pretty strict, would be pretty hectic for me. Like some states have a certain amount of hours that you have to do. Some you have to have just a certain amount of days. And then like North Carolina, I hear a lot of homeschool families around me talking about having to get their 180 days, but that is not the North Carolina law. It is, I'm not going to quote this exactly, I know, but it says that you have to have a reasonable amount of days in 9 calendar months out of the year. So reasonable with counting, or they said, I'm pretty sure I'm quoting this word for word, 9 calendar months out of the year except for reasonable vacations and holidays. So just 9 months out of the 12-month calendar, you have to do school. I would say just saying reasonable, I would say probably the majority of those 9 months you would need to show that your kids were in school. And for North Carolina, you don't have to report that yearly. You do have to keep an attendance record to show if you're ever audited and they want to see. You're supposed to provide them with that form where you mark off the attendance, and you should have a reasonable amount of days in 9 calendar months out of the year. I do like to follow close-ish to the 180-day rule, because most curriculums that you buy are either going to be on a 90-day period schedule or in 180-day. So I don't like going into a curriculum knowing that I'm not going to be able to finish it, so I like to keep us around the 180 days. But like I said, go to hslds.org to check your state's laws for what you need to follow. Next thing that I do, and that I recommend you doing, because I think this helps, is to print out a calendar. So this was this year's calendar. I've got 2022, the full year, and 2023. So what I did is I print these out, just blank. This was a free, I just Googled free printable calendar. This is calendar-12.com. I'll put a link to that too. But you just Google free printable calendar and you can find all sorts of free printable calendar designs. But I say get where you can see the entire year at a time. This one already had holidays circled. It was just because this was the random one that I picked. So get your year out, look at your year. This was 2022, 2023, so I could see my whole year at one time. And I kind of knew which months I wanted to do school because of where we live. I knew that in July and August, that's our hottest months. June was pretty crazy this year, but we ended at the end of May, so we took June off. So I knew that I wanted to start as soon as possible in July, because we were going to have those 90, 100-degree days in July and August, and that was true for July. I think we had like 15-day streak where it didn't get like where the feels like temperature was at 100 or more. It was a hot July. So I knew that I wanted to do as much school as possible in July and August during those days that like my kids weren't going to want to go outside and play much, and it wasn't going to be good days for us to take off and go to the park because it was just miserably hot. I would rather have October, around here, October, November days to take off and say, we're not doing school today, or this is going to be a field trip day for us, or this is just, we don't feel like doing school today because it feels really great and we're going to take a day trip somewhere. So I knew that I wanted to do school in July and August. So with this calendar, and this is actually my calendar where I wrote my stuff off, what days that we were going to be off and what days we were going to do school. So let me show you what I did. I started with 2022, and I kind of guessed that in July, I didn't want to start on the 4th, so I looked at the next week. And I think when I originally did this, I looked at it starting on, no. We had my birthday, and I knew we were going to have some days off for my birthday to go do something, because we like to do fun stuff for birthdays. So I think I may have had starting on the 12th or something. I like doing short weeks too. So I just kind of guessed, and it wasn't for sure we were going to start on this day, but I started somewhere in that week. We ended up starting on the 13th on Wednesday. I like to ease into the year and not do a full 5-day week when we first start. So I may have had Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We ended up going with Wednesday, but I just started, and you see where I underlined it. I went through with my calendar and I just started underlining the days. I looked at my calendar on my phone because I keep everything on my phone. And what I couldn't remember, from memory, like I went through and circled. Did I circle it? No, I didn't circle it. I just didn't underline it. So as I'm going through, I'm starting in July, and I start underlining, okay, I think we can do school this day, this day, this day, this day, this day, this day, this day. We get to a day in August. We had one of my daughter's birthday, and I knew we weren't going to do school on her birthday, so I didn't underline that day. And then I also didn't underline, we took off a Friday and a Monday. The Friday we took off for her birthday, for that to be our day off of school for her birthday. And then I just did the following Monday, which ended up being this past Monday, just to have an extra day, because when we started in the middle of August, so we had already been doing school for about 3-4 weeks, and that was just a good time for me, I thought, to schedule a break, to have a break day. So very loose schedule here. I just went through and I started underlining, like just say, this week, this week, this week. Okay, we can do most of the days this week, and then I'm pointing at April. And then I went to August, and I'm like roughly thinking, okay, I probably am not going to do school this day. And I just went through underlining the days that I wanted to do school. And mainly just underlining all the days, except for the days I didn't want to do school, if that makes sense. So I looked at September. I knew in September, or actually at the time I didn't know what week, so I actually have the wrong week underlined here. I went through September. I underlined every day except for one full week in there because I knew we were going to be going on vacation. So one of these weeks in September, I haven't fixed it. I need to fix it. Is not underlined, and all the other days are underlined, except for that week that I'm going to do our vacation. So it's just a kind of like a rough draft. You go through, underline all the days in the month that you want to do school, that you know that you don't have activities, you don't have a birthday that you want to take off for, there's not a holiday, things like that. Just underline the days that you think that's a good school day. And roughly, if you're starting in mid-July, you should get done in May, somewhere in May. So rough draft, underline all the days, all the way from the month that you think you might want to start to where you think you might want to end. And then add up those days, see where you're at. If you have to have 180 days exactly, just play around with it. If you have too many days underlined, like if you only have to have 180 and you do this and you have already underlined 200 days, then you've got 20 days that you can go through there and you can erase and say, okay, we're not going to do school this day or this day or this day or this day. You do want to give yourself some leeway. According to what the regulations are for your state, it's going to be different. So like we don't have to have the exact 180 days. So I didn't have to worry about staying right there at that 180. If you have to do that, then you might want to give yourself some leeway for some sick days or just some, family emergency or just a de-stress day, just a day to not do school. Give yourself some leeway because you're going to need that. So if you have to have 180 days, maybe you should schedule 190 days. Give yourself 10 days of sick days for your kids, sick days for yourself, or just those days that you don't want to do school. Just emergency days. I would maybe give yourself 10, but that's totally up to you and however you think you need to work with that. And it could be that you just get to the end of the year. If you don't have your required 180 days and you got to do 5 more days of school, then you can just tag that on at the end. But I like making plans for those days and making sure that they're kind of already scheduled so that we don't get to the end of the school year and like, oh great, we're not going to be done yet. Or, to be able to give the kids a stopping point, we're going to stop here, or also to not give them a stopping point and just be able to say, we're going to be done when you get done. When you get done with this curriculum, when you get done with this book, with these so many lessons, then we'll be done. Because I don't know, for us, saying that we have a certain day that we're going to stop, it kind of is more stressful for us than helpful, because it's like, oh great, I'm going to have to cram all this in if there's a subject that they didn't quite get finished. I don't know, it's kind of different for us. I feel like that giving us I don't ever have really a cutoff day for sure. I never know when our last day is actually going to be until it gets closer to the end of the year. But back to what I was saying. If you have to have 180 days, I would schedule a couple more days just to give yourself some leeway. And then for me, what I did, because we don't have to have the exact 180 days, I actually have it up here. I think I was close to the 200 days once it all was said and done and I had everything underlined and I went through and counted my days. So then I started going back and thinking, okay, I've got, we've got a church meeting. Our kids are involved with youth meetings and things like that. Or if we have just regular church meetings that are going to be extended, or meetings that happen during the week. I know when those normally happen, we have yearly meetings at different times. So some of those are good ones. Like if we're going to be up late during a week, then I might just do half days of school during that week, or we might just take the whole week off, which you can do if you're homeschooling. That's the beauty of being able to schedule your own year and your own schoolwork. If you want to take a week off because you have a function that you're going to be doing with your family or your church or some friends or something like that, you can take it off and you can schedule it in, and it's not like you're messing up your plans or messing up your kids' school. So I had like 200 days. I went through, started erasing days where we were going to be having meetings at church. So it was like, okay, well, we can just take an extra day off here, take a Monday off. That's always good to not have to get up on Monday morning and do school. And I got it down to 187 days. And this was even where I had it wrote here. My handwriting's terrible. I know. I'm sorry. So I had 187 days. I took off 5 days for field trips. That went to 182. And then I gave myself 7 sick days, for the kids or for myself or whatever. And I say sick days, but that could also be, I don't want to do school today days. And that left me with 175. So when I planned my kids' books, like for the year, to know how many pages or chapters or lessons that they needed to do per month, per week, per day, all that, in order to get done with the school year on time, I figured it with working 175 days. So if they had 180 lessons to do, and we only have 175 days, I know that there's a couple weeks there that they're going to need to do like one extra lesson that week, something like that, just to get that 180 done. Or one of the curriculums I looked at, I can't remember which one it was, I knocked off a whole section that it was just going to be some review stuff that I knew they didn't need, because they were good on that. So I knocked off a whole chunk of one of the curriculums. I cannot remember which one it was. I want to say it was something on my third grader. So she's definitely going to get her stuff done without having to do extra to make up for those 5 days, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to think if I missed anything. It was super simple. Kind of do a recap of this. Print out your calendar, get your year at a time, look at the year, go ahead and know what days you want to take off. Think about if you want to take off for a vacation on certain days of the year, when would be a good time to take off more days? When would be a good time to do school and have more school days? Like for us in July and August, when it's 100 degrees and it's not good days for us to take off school and go do something fun outside, that's the days that I wanted to do school. And we've gotten quite a few days done in July and August. And that's going to leave time for us to have like our week off in September when we're going on vacation. And then I've got some days scheduled off. Oh, this isn't even this one. I've got, let's see. I've got a Monday scheduled off in October. So maybe we go somewhere for the weekend and have a long weekend and just have that Monday off. Let's see. In November, we're taking the whole week of Thanksgiving off. And I think I had it scheduled to, I don't have it written on here, but we were going to do like half days the week before that because we're going to be getting ready for like church dinners and family dinners and things like that. And then we've got 1, 2, where's my January? 3, I've got 2.5 weeks. Like we're going to take a Friday off and then have 2 weeks off and then have another half a week off around Christmas. And I'll adjust this as it gets closer. If we need to take more days off, we will. If we need to tack stuff on at the end of the year, we will. We don't have to have a certain amount of days or a certain amount of hours. We just have to have a reasonable amount of days in 9 calendar months of the year. So I just look at this as we go and make sure that I've got what I need. But I totally got off subject there. I was recapping. I recapped. Print off your calendar. Mark off the days that you know you don't want to do school so that you don't put those in your calendar. Go ahead and do a rough draft of underlining those days like I did here. And, you know, you can try it like this. If you don't have your own plan of how you do this, try it this way and then see how it works for you. Maybe you tweak it up and change it to fit how your brain works and how it would best help you to plan your year out. But this is just how I do it. And if you don't have a plan, follow this and then figure out your own plan that works for you. So underline your days and then count how many days you have. And get somewhere close. Add more days to it. If you didn't underline or circle enough days that you were going to be doing school, maybe you need to add on to it. Just look around. Where would you rather do school? Did you take off too many days around Christmas? Maybe add on 1 or 2 days before or 1 or 2 days after that break that you scheduled. Maybe you're starting a little bit later in the year than you should according to the days that you need. Maybe tack on a couple of days, start a week earlier. Just play around with it. You know, start your rough draft, count how many days you have, and then play with that to add and take away and get to the right amount of days that you need. Let's see, what was it? I think that was it. It's so simple. It's really, really simple. And maybe you just needed some reassurance that you weren't doing it wrong. Or you have no idea and you just needed to see how somebody else was doing it. And that's how I do it. It's really simple though. If this was helpful, let me know down in the comments. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for joining. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. I try to post once a week on the weekends, and then occasionally on like a Tuesday or Wednesday through the week. And so if you have not watched any of my videos, if you want to, you can go back, or I'll put a little card up here that has some of my homeschool stuff. You can go back and see those playlists. I have a homeschool playlist with different things in it. I have some planning things, some curriculum things in there that I would be glad for you to go and watch. And I hope y'all have a great day. Bye.